Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our regular meeting of Council. I'll start with the land acknowledgement. We acknowledge that we live, work, and gather on the traditional and unceded territory of the Algonquin people, specifically the Temiskaming First Nation. We recognize the presence of the Temiskaming First Nation in our community since time immemorial and honor their long history of welcoming many nations to this beautiful territory and uphold and uplift their voice and values. I call the meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. All members are present.
Awesome. Item 3, review of revisions or deletions to the agenda. Seeing none, I have a motion in front of me. Be it resolved that City Council approves the agenda as printed. Can I get a mover? Thank you, Councillor Peltier-Living. The seconder. Thanks, Councillor Wilson. All in favor? That motion is carried. Item 5, disclosure of pecuniary interest in general nature. Seeing none, we'll move on to item 6. Review and adoption of council minutes. Everybody had an opportunity to review the minutes. I have a motion in front of me. Be it resolved that City Council approves the following minutes as printed. A, the regular meeting of Council on December the 6th, 2022. Mover, thanks. And a seconder, thanks. Councillor Ducharme. Any discussion? All in favor? That motion is carried. We have no public meetings pursuant to the Planning Act, Municipal Act, and other statutes. We'll move on to our first question and answer period. Do you have any questions from the audience? Any questions online? No. Moving along to item 9, presentations and delegations. And we have Mitch McCrank who's going to give us an update on transit service.
Thanks, Mayor. Yeah, I just wanted to provide a quick update on transit. I know it's been a hot topic lately. And again, here I am talking about transit updates. So, since our last meeting, there has been some positive steps in the right direction. I just want to review kind of where the contractor Voyago is at and where the city's at, and anything moving forward. So right now, we've been doing weekly meetings with Voyago. They have been recruiting ongoing since the day after we awarded the contract. So job posting went out December 7th. They're actively recruiting for both the transit supervisor position and transit drivers. They've had some very positive feedback on both those positions. They have interviews lined up this week. So interviews are set, and they've had quite the number of transit drivers. To much surprise, but it's amazing. They've had 9 fully qualified applicants already. So that's very positive steps in the right direction for getting them going. Obviously, they've been committed to working with us during that startup transitionary period. They made it very clear in their proposal, they would work with us on that January 2nd and March 1st transitionary period. So we are still working on, getting earliest that we can out of them. But I think, at this point it is safe to say that pending, certain things such as onboarding, the switchover, licensing, it is pretty clear that there will be a disruption of normal transit service. So when I say emphasis on normal, I mean what we're used to right now. Obviously, the city is doing everything we can, and staff is doing everything we can to try to mitigate that service. So again, charter companies have been reached out to provide charter service using a bus. Both charter companies that were reached out to, so Stock and Willards, have indicated that they would not do that. So with that, I do have some positive notes, I guess. So on a positive side, details are still being ironed out, but the city has got commitment from the local taxi company, so DK's taxi service, to work with us. Obviously, like I said, details have to be worked out, but they're willing to work with us to bridge that gap and help us as best they can with transitionary period. So obviously it's a lot smaller vehicles. There's going to be a lot of different things, but it's a step in the right direction. Positive. Again, though, the city is asking riders to please plan ahead. Obviously, this isn't what they're used to and ideal, but it is something. Whether it is planning ahead, maybe with a carpool type system with coworkers or friends, or at least asking for a friend or family member for a ride. That's something that we can look at as well. And I guess I'll finish up here. So other aspects of the contract are moving along fine. The facility, the maintenance side, the fuel side, that's all fine and dandy. Again, more details will be posted on an ongoing basis as needed. Thank you.
Thanks for your update, Mitch. I do have a motion in front of me. And whereas Voyago has been awarded the transit contract and the company is committed to working with Temiskaming Transit to transition the service as early as possible, and whereas Voyago has provided a progress report on December 20th, 2022, noting an incredibly positive response to driver and supervisor recruitment with a solid onboarding plan with all other aspects of the contract are well organized and on schedule, and whereas the city has sought all viable options to mitigate disruptions in service, such as an alternate service options, bus charter, etc., and whereas most options have been exhausted and therefore delays and disruption in service for the first half of January 2023 are expected, and whereas DK's taxi service has been approached to offer a service arrangement for an hourly rate per vehicle for a limited period to address the transportation needs of the Temiskaming Transit ridership. Now therefore be it resolved that the Council of the City of Temiskaming Shores authorizes staff to arrange and bind a service arrangement with DK's Taxi for a limited period running the typical transit route or as required. Can I get a mover? Thank you. Any discussion?
Did we get a seconder?
Yeah. It was moved by Councillor Whalen.
Okay.
Any discussion? Councillor Deschamps?
Do you know if they're looking at sort of flat rate service or custom? Is there going to be a cost to individuals in the city, or is it still to be determined?
So the way that I've been in discussions with them, it's the city would pay a flat rate to DKs, and the riders would continue as if they are riding the transit. So I would highly encourage riders to have monthly passes and or tickets, so that can also be purchased from city buildings or from vendors around the city. And I have spoken, obviously details are still to be worked out, but cash would still be obviously taken, and it would be as per the transit costs.
And maybe just for a clarification as well, we just found this out earlier today. It hasn't flown through the transit committee yet either, and I'm sure the information has been forwarded on to the town of Cobalt, but that transit committee, I'm sure will be having a meeting shortly, and they can have those discussions and make some recommendations. But for right now, that's the best that we know. Any other comments, concerns? Councillor Whalen?
Yeah, thanks for the update, Mitch. We are originally thinking maybe 2 to 3 months we would be without transit service, so it definitely is good news, and the reaction to the new company is very welcome news as well. I think the best thing we can do is just accept the fact that there will be some criticism, but we'll just be open with the public and say, here's the facts, here's how we're moving forward, and here's what we're doing on your behalf. So I think this is actually good news for the city. So, and I appreciate the news releases from the mayor as well. So thank you.
Thank you. Any last comments? Councillor Peltier-Levin.
Thank you for that. You mentioned carpooling. I know there's some apps out there for carpooling, and I wonder if it would be helpful if we're not sure that the taxi service will be able to respond to the demand, if it would be a good idea to review and maybe make a recommendation or suggest one, so that if people want to help out and sign up, they wouldn't be everywhere, they could be in the one. So I'm just adding that to the conversation.
Thank you. Okay, we do have a motion in front of us. All in favor? That motion is carried. Item 10, communications. 10A, Mark Stewart, CAO, District of Temiskaming Social Services Administration Board, RE Community Safety and Wellbeing Plan handover. And, we've received that for information purposes. 10B, Alyssa Gosling, First Link Care Navigator and Public Education Coordinator for Alzheimer's Society, re the National Alzheimer's Awareness Month for January 2023. And we do have a proclamation presented under new business. Item C, Stephanie Lefebvre, Manager of Plant and Property and Health and Safety at Northern College. It's an application to purchase municipal land, 2022-10-17. And the reference is we directed to the municipal clerk to process in accordance with the land disposition bylaw number 2015-160. Item D, Sandy McDonald, Regional Director of Community Affairs at Bell. Bell Let's Talk Day, flag raising for January the 25th, 2023, and we've received that for information purposes. And item E, Carolyn Mulrooney, the Minister of Transportation, the Safe Restart funding for the municipal transit stream, and we've referred that to the Temiskaming Transit Committee and the municipal treasurer. And I have a motion in front of me. Be it resolved that City Council agrees to deal with communication items 10A through 10E in accordance with the agenda references. Thanks. Thank you. And seconded by Councillor Ducharme. Discussion? All in favor? And that motion is carried. Item 11, Committees of Council, Community and Regional. There are none. Item 12, Committees of Council, Internal Departments, and there's none. Any reports by members of Council? Seeing none. Item 14, Notice of Motion. Any notice of motions tonight? Clipping right along, we'll go on to item 15, new business, and 15A, resolution in support of call for nominations for Roma Board of Directors. I have a motion in front of me. Be it resolved that Council for the City of Temiskaming Shores endorses Councillor Mark Wilson for the position of Roma Zone 9 representative for 2023 to 2027, the Roma Board of Directors. Can I get a mover? And a seconder? Thanks, Councillor Foley. Any discussion? All those in favor? That motion is carried. Item B, the proclamation for National Alzheimer's Awareness Month, January 2023. I have a motion in front of me, whereas Alzheimer's Awareness Month is recognized during the month of January 2023 to raise awareness about Alzheimer's disease and other forms of dementia. And whereas Alzheimer's disease is a degenerative brain disorder that most often occurs in people over the age of 65, but can occur in adults in their 30s, 40s, and 50s. And whereas there are over 630,000 Canadians living with Alzheimer's disease, with a projected almost 1 million Canadians living with dementia by 2031. And whereas the Alzheimer's Society Cochrane-Temiskaming provides programs and services to all citizens of Cochrane-Temiskaming District, and whereas the Alzheimer's Society Cochrane-Temiskaming encourages the council, residents, business, and services of the City of Temiskaming Shores to break the stigma and fear of exclusion attached to Alzheimer's and dementia and build their community into a dementia-friendly community that supports those living with dementia to maintain an active role in our community, to take part in new things, and to continue activities they enjoy with confidence. Now, therefore, I, Mayor Jeff Laferriere, do hereby declare the month of January 2023 as Alzheimer's Awareness Month in the City of Temiskaming Shores, and that the City of Temiskaming Shores build toward becoming a dementia-friendly community. Can I get a mover? Councillor Pelche-Levin. Seconder, Councillor Wilson. Discussion? All those in favor? That motion is carried. Item C, January to November 2022 year-to-date capital financial report. And I have a motion in front of me. Be it resolved, the Council of the City of Temiskaming Shores hereby acknowledges receipt of the January to November year-to-date capital financial report for information purposes. Maybe just Stephanie, if you want to just give a few words.
Thank you. So the capital report is for the period ending November 30th. Most projects have been completed. The managers have identified a few projects that will be presented as carryovers for 2023, and those have been noted on the report. Are there any questions about any of the projects for myself or the managers?
Seeing none, this is where I start with a mover of the motion. Thank you. And a seconder? Thanks. Councillor Foley. Okay, any other discussions? Can I get a move? All those in favor? And that motion is carried. Memo number 048-2022 CS, approval to transfer surplus or deficit funds to and from the reserve and the reserve funds. And I have a motion in front of me. Be it resolved that Council of the City of Temiskaming Shores hereby directs the Treasurer to transfer any surplus or deficits from 2022 to and from the applicable reserves or reserve funds per the summary below. We're looking at Buck Park operations, the business improvement area, cemetery operations, doctor recruitment, elections, fire marquee and auto extrication, net revenues, gain on sale of surplus fleet assets, land leases and net land sales, landfill operations, the medical center, municipal budget capital, municipal budget environmental operations, municipal budget general operations, municipal transit operations, and the Temiskaming Shores Library. And further, that any other surplus or deficit not listed above from the 2022 fiscal year be transferred to and from the working fund reserve. Can I get a mover? Councillor Pelche-Levin. Seconder, Councillor Wilson. Discussion, and maybe Stephanie, I can just get you to give a little bit of background on that.
Okay, thank you. So just to provide more information about reserves, so municipalities use reserves to balance the operations. And as you can see in the motion or the resolution, certain programs and services have a designated allocation within the reserve fund. So I won't read them off again, but a few examples: the library, cemetery, transit, etc. So in order to achieve a balanced position, year-end transfers to and from reserves are required to offset any of the surplus deficits.
For those programs that have a designated reserve, we would offset the surplus deficit from that designated reserve. Any other surplus deficit would be transferred to or from the working fund reserve. So the resolution this evening is just to provide authorization to the Finance Department to process the journal entries to record the year-end transfers.
Awesome, thank you. Any questions? We have a motion in front of us. All those in favor? That motion is carried. Item E, memo number 049-2022 CS, amending the FedNor agreement for the Great Fire Centennial event. I have a motion in front of us. Be it resolved, the Council of the City of Temiskaming Shores hereby acknowledges receipt of memo number 049-2022 CS, and that Council hereby confirms funding agreement amendment number 1 and directs staff to prepare the necessary bylaw to amend bylaw number 2022-004 to extend the project completion date from January 31st, 2023 to March the 7th, 2023 for consideration at the December 20th, 2022 regular council meeting. Can I get a mover? And a seconder? Discussion. So we all received the report, and it's just it's a timing issue to make sure we maximize the funding that we're getting for the staff member that we have working in there. Anybody have any questions or concerns? We have a motion in front of us. All those in favor? That motion is carried. Item F, Administration Report Number CS-046-2022, Zoning Bylaw Agreement 2023-03 for 884402 Highway 65 West. I have a motion in front of me. Be it resolved that Council for the City of Temiskaming Shores acknowledges receipt of Administration Report CS-046-2022 and that Council agrees to amend the provisions of the City of Temiskaming Shores Zoning Bylaw 2017-154 to permit the zone change from Community Facilities CF to Rural Residential Exception 3 R1-3 and that Council directs staff to prepare the necessary bylaw to amend the City of Temiskaming Shores Zoning Bylaw 2017-154 for consideration at the December 20th, 2022 regular council meeting. Can I get a mover? Councillor Wilson. Seconder, Councillor Foley. Discussion. And we heard at our last council meeting, we went through the zoning amendment. Anybody have any questions? Anybody have any concerns? We do have a motion in front of us. All those in favor? That motion is carried. Item G, Administration Report Number CS-047-2022, Zach's Crib Building Permit Fees. I do have a resolution in front of me. Be it resolved that Council for the City of Temiskaming Shores acknowledges receipt of Administration Report CS-047-2022 and that Council acknowledges the request from the District of Temiskaming Social Services Administration Board and agrees to provide in-kind support to Zach's Crib by waiving the building permit fees associated with the renovation of 183 Broadwood Avenue in the amount of $6,650. Can I get a mover, please? Councillor Whelan. Second by Councillor Pelchy-Living. Discussion. Councillor Whelan?
Yeah, I'm drawing a blank and he's not here tonight, but we don't charge for initial fire inspection, do we? Just, we don't include the fire inspection in here, so I didn't know.
Yeah, no, we don't.
We don't?
Do you want to?
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Any other questions? We have a motion in front of us. All those in favor? And that motion is carried. Item H, Administration Report Number CS-048-2022. It's Prosecution Services for the POA. I have a resolution in front of me. Be it resolved that Council for the City of Temiskaming Shores acknowledges receipt of Administration Report CS-048-2022 and that Council directs staff to prepare the necessary bylaw to enter into an agreement with Mr. Marius Pryzbalowski as a court prosecutor for the consideration at the December 20th, 2022 regular council meeting. Can I get a mover? It's Councillor Foley. Seconder, Councillor Wilson. Discussion? We have a motion in front of us. All those in favor? And that motion is carried. Item I, memo number 013-2022 PW, Ontario Structure Inspection Manual, 2022 Bridge and Culvert Inspection Program. And I have a motion in front of me. Be it resolved, the Council for the City of Temiskaming Shores acknowledges receipt of the 2022 Bridges, Culverts, and Roof Infrastructure Report based on the Ontario Structure Inspection Manual and Capital Plan prepared by DM Willis for information purposes. Can I get a mover? Thank you. And a seconder? Councillor Foley. Discussion? Everybody read that report in detail, I hope? Yes, that's awesome. Yes. Yeah. All those in favor? And that motion is carried. Item J, Administration Report Number PW-031-2022, the Cost Sharing Agreement. And I have a resolution in front of me. Be it resolved, the Council for the City of Temiskaming Shores acknowledges receipt of Administration Report PW-031-2022 and that Council directs staff to prepare the necessary bylaw to enter into a cost-sharing agreement with the Ministry of Transportation to construct a right turn taper and left turn lane on Highway 65 East to accommodate the Grant Drive extension for an upset limit of $266,250 plus applicable taxes for Council's consideration at the December 20th, 2022 regular Council meeting. Can I get a mover? Councillor Belcher-Living. Seconder. Councillor Ducharme. Discussion? All those in favor? And that motion is carried. Item K, Administration Report Number PW-032-2022, the equipment rental for water and sewer repairs. I have a motion in front of me. Be it resolved that Council for the City of Temiskaming Shores acknowledges receipt of Administration Report PW-032-2022 and that Council directs staff to prepare the necessary bylaw to amend bylaw number 2019-016 as amended, being the agreement with Peterson Construction 2013 Inc. to permit a one-year extension for the equipment rental excavator operator for water sewer breaks and repairs at the following rental rates plus applicable taxes. Float time, regular rate is $160 per hour. After-hour rate is $200 per hour. The breaker attachment, $260 per hour is the regular rate, and after-hour rate is $300 per hour. The excavation time, regular rate is $160 per hour, and after-hour rate is $200 per hour for consideration at the December 20th, 2022 regular council meeting. Can I get a mover? And a seconder? Any discussion? All those in favor? And that motion is carried. That brings us to bylaws. Item 16. Be it resolved that bylaw number 2022-176, being a bylaw to authorize the entering into an agreement with 947465 Ontario Limited, operating as Voyago for the provision of public transit services. Bylaw number 2022-177, being a bylaw to authorize the entering into an agreement with 947465 Ontario Limited, operating as Voyago for the lease of 5 accessible transit buses. Bylaw number 2022-178, being a bylaw to authorize the entering into a lease agreement with Bumstead Trucking Limited for a portion of the premises known at 41 Golden Street, New Liskeard. Bylaw number 2022-179, being a bylaw to amend bylaw number 2022-004 to enter into an agreement with the Federal Economic Development Agency for Northern Ontario as represented by the Minister of Indigenous Services and Minister responsible for the Federal Economic Development Agency for Northern Ontario for the Great Fire of 1922 Centennial event. Project number 851-513645 and amendment number 1. Bylaw number 2022-180, being a bylaw to amend bylaw number 2017-154 to rezone 884402 Highway 65 West from the Community Facilities CF zone for the Rural Residential Exception 19 R1-3 zone to allow for the conversion of the existing building to a single detached dwelling and to permit a reduced lot area. Bylaw number 2022-181, being a bylaw to enter into a contract agreement for POA court prosecution services. Bylaw number 2022-182, being a bylaw to authorize the execution of a cost-sharing agreement between His Majesty the King in right of the Province of Ontario, represented by the Minister of Transportation and the Corporation of the City of Temiskaming Shores for the construction of the right turn taper and left turn lane on Highway 65 East to accommodate the Grant Drive extension. Bylaw number 2022-183, being a bylaw to amend bylaw number 2019-016 as amended to enter into an agreement with Peterson Construction 2013 Inc. for the rental of the excavator complete with operator for water break repairs. Bylaw number 2022-184, being a bylaw authorizing the execution of the Next Generation 911 Authority Service Agreement with Bell Canada, be hereby introduced and given first and second reading. Can I get a mover, please? Councillor Foley. Seconded by Councillor Wilson. Discussion? All those in favor? Motion's carried. Be it resolved that bylaw number 2022-176, 177, 178, 179, 180, 181, 182, 183, and 184 be given third and final reading, be signed by the Mayor and Clerk, and the corporate seal affixed thereto. Can I get a mover, please? Councillor Whalen. Skinner. Councillor Wilson. Any last discussion? All those in favor? That motion is carried. This brings us to item 17, the schedule of council meetings. Today we have a regular meeting of council scheduled for January the 17th, 2023 at 6 p.m. This brings us to our second question and answer period. Anybody have any questions? Okay. This brings us to our closed session. I have a motion in front of me. Be it resolved, the council agrees to convene in closed session at 6:35 to discuss the following matters. A, under Section 239(2)B of the Municipal Act 2001, personal matters about an identifiable individual, including municipal or local board employees. And this is for committee appointments. Can I get a mover? Thank you. And a seconder? All those in favor? Motion's carried. We are in closed session, and we'll be back in about 15 minutes.